figure out what. So no boat this time. We're getting off the boat.
Getting off the boat.
Getting off the boat.
Well, let's start it like.
At least we're getting off in a good manner. Falling from it.
You're not being thrown from it. You're not falling from it.
Yeah, why don't we just take the boat? I'm pretty sure we'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
I think someday.
Chomsky says he's been studying it. He's pretty confident. He knows how to start the engine. You can crank it up, and
I think
Like
we
you
need
pull on this rope, and I think this is
we need a pool of resources. Make us a little spell jammer. That's fine.
We're gonna go interplanar with this.
Did any of you see the Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's so good.
I also have to say that I have put a couple things in front of you, y'all, that at one point that you could choose to be going other places. Just saying, you haven't chosen to.
we saw an old spelljammer
Oh yeah.
in the Underdark that had like crashed. They had turned it into a building kind of thing. Giant Nautilus shell. But
We also saw a marked portal to Sigil in where was that? Somewhere in Singor.
Did we?
You did. I did.
Sometimes
Anyway.
I think we're slow.
Yeah.
It was chained off and looked like it was.
oh, that's right.
guarded.
That's right. Yeah.
Still. All right. So, when we last left off, the party having crossed the Lucidian Ocean on an airship, mostly intact. There was that run-in with the storm giant, and Thomas, your old friend, went over the side and is no longer to be seen.
Oh.
Shucks.
But getting to the other side, after crossing over some smaller and larger islands, as you get closer to the large coast, you see, eventually, you come into the city of Port Zune, a medium-sized city along the coast here. And as you come in to the port, lowering down slowly, it looks like there's a couple places for berths for airships here, mostly sailing ships though. And what you see in front of you is this vista of a rising hill of a city that seems to be kind of terraced, going up, and then once it gets to the top of the hill, going back inland past that. But these whitewashed walls, these redstone terracotta kind of roofs on things. There's the word. And you see different trees and things starting to bloom as it seems to be warmer here. Even though you're around the same latitude as Stilben, it seems on this side of the ocean, currents or airstreams or whatever just makes it just a little bit warmer here than it was across. Since you know it's still early to mid-winter over in Tal'Dorei. Here, though, it's a lot more mild. You see different ships being unloaded or loaded. People have set up stands as it's probably early afternoon at this point as you're coming in, and as the ship kind of shudders a little bit as it settles into its berth along the shore line. They cast out lines to get it tied up and secured, and you are set to be here in the city of Stilben. Not Stilben, Port Zune. Other side. You left Stilben. All right.
We're here.
What happened in between?
What happened in between? Well, I mean,
Giant
Apparently we were successful.
you fought a giant, but then, I mean, after the storm passed and the giant went down, you cleared out, and it was mostly clear sailing from there. Although you did find that the rest of the crew after seeing you fight off the storm giant, was a little bit more cautious around you, and maybe not exactly standoffish, but having lost one of their own over the side, they seem just a little bit quiet now around all of you, except for the cook, Luther, actually, the turtle, who seems just mostly oblivious to most things going on except in his kitchen and in the stores. But coming in, tying up, the Commodore comes up and says, "Yar, that'll be an eventful crossing, and that was not what we had in mind, but I'm happy that you all are safe."
You're welcome for saving us.
Sure. Thank you. And I hope to do business again sometime. We are here in several different ports along the coast, along the Menagerie coast here. And please, feel free if you see us, say hello.
May the blessing of the matron of ravens follow after you on your journeys. Thank you for the ride.
And he sweeps off the hat on his shark head and deeply bows to you as you say that. And then starts barking out orders to several of the porters who are coming on board to load and unload things from the hull. Seemingly just ignoring all of you now. What are you doing?
So now we are trying to make our way to Draconia?
Crystals.
Crystals, yes.
We're trying to find
Children's drive.
Yeah?
From
As-
where we
that
are,
is
it's an overland.
It is an overland route, because, Draconia is somewhere up here in the Ashkeeper Peaks.
Didn't we say there might be a portal or something? Do you know about portals?
Yeah, I was
We had gotten a map of sorts of like old Draconia before it had fallen, right? When they were doing research back in Sylvan.
You did, yes, see a map of Old Draconia, which I still don't have for you.
Yeah.
But you're not there
Yeah.
anyway, in any case. On it, was at least in the main part of the capital of Draconia. It's listed that in the records that there was a teleportation circle. But after the fall of Draconia and the literal fall of
Yes.
Draconia, there hasn't been anybody that has successfully gotten through it since then. But yes, as you all are kind of huddling to figure out, okay, well, we got this far, what are we doing now? You look around and notice that Shay, your kind of greenish blue monk, has somehow disappeared. Seems to have slipped off amongst the crowds while you've been standing here. You know that this is her hometown and that she seemed a little bit worried about things after receiving that letter in Singorn. At the same time, Roland, who has been a little bit quiet the last few days, mutters something about finding a stiff drink and wanders off down the gangplank, waving you off as you call after him, and seems to be searching at a bar.
Okay.
You do see, as he passes the bottom of the gangplank and kind of also disappears into the crowds, you see Luther seemingly holding a bag of something, just kind of glancing back and forth with this kind of concerned frown on his turtle face, down on the docks. But yes, what would you like to do?
I guess I'll go up to Luther and see what's up with him.
All right. Is anybody going with them, or is everybody going down, going on shore?
Yeah, we're gonna talk to Luther.
So heading down there, you find Luther kind of huddled. He's got this dark, in some places almost like gray green skin. He looks like he's fairly old, but gets around fairly well, if a little slow. And as you come up to him, he's still looking around, and he kind of catches your eye and says, "Oh yes, it's good to see you."
Luther, those extra buns, I'm awfully hungry right now.
No, unfortunately, these are funds to find more supplies, as we have run out, considering we had extra mouths to feed us this time around. But I mean, we have more money now to buy more. But Thomas actually had a contact for a chief supplier here in the city, and well, I don't know how to find them now.
We could perhaps help with that if we get a cut, right?
I don't know. A cut? I mean, we're just trying to find.
Perhaps we will need supplies for our journey. Maybe if we find a supplier.
Maybe we could
We'll let you know if we find anything.
Discount code? Friend discount code?
Yeah, we might be able to. I mean, it's we're mostly looking for food stuff. But there was supposed to be a wholesaler that was going to be us. Somewhere called the Lovely Egg was where we're meeting, but I've never actually been on show here in Poisoon, and I'm not sure what this is. Thomas was the contact for the contact.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Well, I'm sure we can find it for you.
Yeah, well, that would be greatly appreciated. I could probably find some way to repay you. I'm not sure how.
Alright.
So you're looking for mainly kitchen supply, kitchen supplies.
A spoon?
Well, I mean, we're looking for food stuff, like I
Food, yeah,
said.
yeah.
We're specifically, there was somebody who was giving us a deal of salted pork. It was going to be some good stuff. I have some recipes pulled up, but it was going to be good. I was excited to cook something other than seagull. But
Yeah, it's quite gamey, isn't it?
well, yes, it's kind of tough. Also, they're hard to hit with arrows. I don't know if you do this. In any case, I might see. Who knows what this contact also might have? But I need to find the Lovely Egg. I'm not even sure what that is. That's just the name of the establishment that we were given.
Sounds like a brothel.
Okay.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not going to argue.
That's what I guess.
So what else do we see on the
I mean, we're
port
still
area,
on
right?
kind of like the dock.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're in the initial dock area where there's a couple berths for berthing areas for sky ships, but several other larger docks that have many ships coming in and out of the harbor here. You also hear the constant kind of ting 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 of hammer on metal. It seems like coming from everywhere in this city. And quite a bit of smoke rising out of certain buildings going up the terraces, and a little bit of a haze kind of over the city.
Yeah.
You have vaguely heard that this is a place that is famous for its steel.
I think we should check that out.
Well, yeah, let's head into the
Like
town.
the smithing. Yes.
All right. Anybody else want to do anything else? Are you heading into town together, or?
Yeah, I'll head in.
So, is there like a dock master person?
There may be. Make a perception check to see if you see her.
I guess if we,
We just pick a direction.
well, if we're gonna need,
See no sign.
Good sense of
Yeah.
follow.
Well, 12.
12? I mean, you see somebody, you're not sure if it's a dockmaster, but they seem to be giving orders to porters that are bringing things on and off near where the dock meets the shorefront. Seems to be an important person. There's also seems to be taking payments for things. They might be a dockmaster or somebody not far under.
I'm gonna try to get his attention and Ask him where the lovely egg is.
All right. Walking up, you see this very busy-looking, brown-skinned human with kind of this short-cropped salt and pepper hair along the sides with a little bit of more on top. Kind of crow's feet around the eyes. In fairly nice garb. But also with kind of a badge right here on the left breast, and is just kind of shouting out orders to people, saying things like, "Yes, you there, go and do this. Yes, okay, and yes, oh, and could you give me some of that? And how long will you be staying? And yes, okay." And walking up, getting his attention, he says, "Yes, how can I help you?"
Where's the lovely egg?
The lovely egg. The lovely egg. The lovely egg.
Is it a brothel?
Yeah, we think it might be a brothel, if that helps.
He kind of looks over. There's somebody that seems to be with little spectacles on the end of their nose next to him that has been furiously taking notes. He looks over to them and they say, "Yes, I think it's a bar. Somewhere fourth tier." And he turns back to you and says, "Yes, fourth tier. It's a bar."
Bar in fourth tier.
Cool.
Do you have anything that you would like to declare upon coming in to the city?
I declare my name and my awesomeness at killing things.
He looks at you and says, "That's greatly appreciated. Please do not be killing things within the city limits, if you can help it."
Well, speaking of
reasonable.
that, our important work, I'm an artist. Is there anyone who possibly could use commission around here? Any nobles, you know?
And there are many nobles in the city. More often you're going to find wealthy merchants that will have these kind of things for you. But there may be. It is the height of winter. It's the slow season, as they say. Although as he gestures around, saying the slow season, it does look a lot more... it's busier than Stillben was. There's a lot of activity going on.
How disappointing.
Yeah, ask around. You may find something.
Thank you.
I myself do not deal in such things.
Thank you.
Sorry, that was me. That was not my character.
Okay.
I have some things to
Crom is just
It's
hairball.
So onwards to this lovely egg.
lovely egg.
The lovely egg. Yes. So, going up through the city, you find that the terraces are kind of arranged in switchbacks of roads as they go up. They're fairly long switchbacks. There are sometimes small alleyways that go up between them in steep steps, and you, if you want, you may be able to use those to more quickly get up to the fourth terrace. Or take the scenic route. It's probably a good mile from end to end on the switchback, so it's
What time of day is it?
it's 1, 2 in the afternoon maybe.
Want to take the scenic route? Something interesting to pop out?
Sure.
Not in a hurry.
I want to get these
All right,
Yeah.
taking the scenic route, or what are you doing?
While I'm walking around, I'll have a piece of my sketchbook. I'll like write my name down and like stick it in people's pockets, and like if I can put like prestidigitation on it, like Sally, and like find me.
Yeah, letters like flashing on it.
That's good.
Patrick Bateman would be upset. From a business card.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sneak business cards into people's pockets.
Okay.
While we're going, I'm just keeping an eye out for Shay. Because it's not unusual for her to just disappear, but, you know, we're in her hometown. So.
This is her hometown. She would not have disappeared here. Okay, roll a perception check. Just keeping an eye out.
That is a 15.
15. You do not catch. I mean, you catch a glimpse of Green at one point, and then realize, oh no, that's just a half orc. That's not quite the right shade. And plus, the hair is all different, and like it was just a flash in the crowd. You don't catch any sign of Shay. At one point, you do notice Roland in a passing tavern, seemingly just one hand on his thigh, the other on his drink, just staring into it, just kind of shaking his head a little bit. Not sure what's going on there.
Is this? I'll point that out to everyone. Is this normal for Roland?
It seems a little bit more regretful than usual, but I don't know. Perhaps. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yes, well, you have all known him much longer, so I defer to your judgment. It just looks.
Well, no
sad.
is such a loose term, isn't it?
We don't
It's
really
been
talk about our
around us.
feelings in this group.
Oh heavens. A good powwow can really strengthen bonds, both in the martial sense and the togetherness sense.
He's just so secretive, you know?
I find secrets usually come back to bite their owner. That is why, of course, when I met you, I divulged my past, which is not glamorous in the slightest.
Seems like you're fishing for us to do the same. We won't, but
I'm just saying, it might help. Holding on to things. When you have people you can trust, life is a little bit brighter.
Well, I don't. I wouldn't necessarily trust Roland 100%.
There was that thing about the Blue Dragon and him being very on board with it. That was odd.
Indeed.
do I have any luck sneaking my business cards in people's pockets?
Make a sleight of hand check.
Yeah, you want
13.
I mean, I do have.
So there are a few people that are distracted that you're able to definitely slip it in. I'm assuming you're probably going for the people who are a little bit more. They look like they're more of means. There's at least one person who, as you try to slip it in, kind of catches your wrist and says, "Hey,
That's a good point.
what you?"
You're not gonna find it.
Not stealing. Then I walk away.
And they kind of
Eviscerate.
take it out and
Yeah.
look after you're frowning and then put it back in their pocket. You do, not seeing Shay, seeing Roland, you also do notice at some point an older gentleman, kind of in slightly shabby clothes, kind of slightly wild, very Bernie Sanders looking. Let's go for the shorthand. Except for no glasses. That seems to be keeping an eye on the group and following from a distance, maybe 40, 50 feet behind.
Okay. I might whisper to Sirthis. It appears we are being followed. Older gentleman, shabby clothes, white hair. And just kind of like nod back.
You said that to him.
Yeah, to Sirthis.
Does that seem familiar, Brandon?
I feel like Crom would just turn around. I
You
have
mean
no,
that guy?
I was
I
about
have
to.
no
Like
idea
him?
what
I
was like,
Salai would
who are
do.
You are not like kind of glancing over your shoulder and
Well,
just kind of like
I was
the.
gonna glance over my shoulder.
It doesn't sound like somebody that is familiar to you. I mean, it sounds, you know, like a random old man.
Okay.
I mean, without glancing over your shoulder anyway. It does not sound familiar. Continuing walking through.
I will
Yep.
like grab someone's shoulder and then kind of look through my bird and I'll watch more closely what's going on.
All right, whose shoulder did you grab? I just want to. Who's most stiff?
Not me. I'm
I
sneaking
guess
around.
someone who's ever in front of me.
It's definitely Crom. Okay.
Crumb's leading
So,
the way, right?
reaching up, grabbing Crom's shoulder. You,
Grab it out. Flip him over.
judo. You've seen this before. His eyes kind of get this kind of white sheen over them, and he kind of zones out a little bit and doesn't seem to hear anything going on around him, but seems to be watching somehow. And you know that he's probably magically keeping an eye out. But continuing on, you make your way through a couple of the switchbacks. The shops here they're not especially fine, but there's some pawn shop kind of places. There's definitely this close to the shore. There's a few places selling fish, and as you get further up, there's some that are selling meats or root vegetables this time of year. Some greens, some kale, maybe some collards. As well as these small, shriveled-looking, orangish brown-looking fruits that most of you have never seen before. Although,
Are they labeled?
walking up to it, you see that they are labeled oranges,
Oh yeah.
which is not something that you've seen in
Strange.
Taldore. So you've seen this in your travels, and of course Shay, if she was here, would be very familiar. But along the Menagerie coast here, citrus fruits grow much better than a lot of other places. And one of their main other exports, other than steel, happens to be oranges, as well as to a lesser extent olives.
Friends, you have to try these things. They're amazing. I think one time I was about to get really sick, and I ate an orange. And
I ate an orange and I was good to go.
I was good to go.
It's close to magic. Hearing you say this, the stall keeper does kind of reach out and yes, they're quite good and very tasty. Would you like some?
I'll buy an orange.
Sure, well,
1 copper, please.
win in Zune.
You may get a dozen for 10 copper. If you like them, I'm just saying.
We'll get a dozen.
These are some of the last of last seasons. We're starting to run out. This is a very good price. And if you would like 2 dozen, we might be able to do an even better price on that. No? No?
Does he
Any
bring up?
takers?
He's like, y'all look sickly.
In any case, thank you. And immediately starts ignoring you because you're not spending any more money. Biting into it, it tastes strangely flavorless at first because you're just biting into an orange. Kind of hard as it's slightly
Just
shriveled
someone
and
teaches
winter
how to peel
orange.
it?
Yeah, I just bite right through the
I've
rind.
never seen an
I'm just,
orange.
This is
I'm just
horrible.
shaking my head no, that's not it.
You see Salai start to carefully peel the, but also very juicy suddenly, and as it kind of goes down, breaks open and goes down your chin. Quite flavorful. As these slightly shriveled ones are a little bit more concentrated, have a little less juice inside, but the flavor is definitely it's good stuff. Moving on past this, though, as you make your way up to the 4th tier, doing similar switchbacks, you keeping an eye through your bird, through Casilda, you do notice after a minute or two this kind of bald-headed with a little bit of kind of a white, wispy-haired crown along the edges. Kind of seems to be pretending to look at things as also keeping, not very good at hiding it, but trying to keep an eye on you and slowly following you from a safe distance from behind.
There seem to be any others?
No, it just seems to be the one old man.
Okay.
But eventually, coming up onto the 4th tier, you keep an extra close eye out, and you see a sign eventually with no words on it, but the shape, an egg-like kind of oval shape with a slightly askew crown of flowers on it. And you assume that this might be the lovely egg.
What's the condition of the sign?
It's in fairly good shape. It has fresh paint on it actually. And walking up like most. This is not the rundown part of town. This is like downtown. This is like not necessarily really expensive, but everything in here is in tip-top shape, and you know the prices are competitive, and the clientele has some money, and this is a fairly good-sized tavern as you walk up to it.
I noticed the fanciness. I paint my name on some of the oranges, and I plan to hand them out.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Sally, those marketing classes really paid off.
No, I've been reading up. Yeah, I'm trying to increase that SEO, you know?
Yeah.
It's a real hustle.
I'll ask Theotis. Is that fellow still following us? I don't want to look.
He is, right?
Looking back, make a quick percent. Well, because you're still in Casilda, right?
Mhm.
I'll say Casilda's easily enough can.
Yeah, he's not looking for a bird, I would imagine.
Yeah.
If Shay or Roland were here, I would suggest they sneak up. But unfortunately, that is not my forte.
Yeah.
Should we try and lure him in after us? I do not like being tailed like this.
We go in the bar.
Yeah. Are you going in, or because right now you're outside, you see it? Is everybody going in? What are we doing?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, this is
I'm going in.
where we were looking for.
Mhm.
All right. The 5 of you, along with Luther, enter the bar, seeing a.
He's still with us.
Oh yeah, Luther came with
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
so
It's
sure.
like it's an afternoon crowd. It's not overly full, but there's some people eating. There's some people drinking. Yeah, looks. There's a low fire going as it's it's not exactly cold outside, but it's for this part of the world cool outside. But yeah, it looks like a nice little bar.
Oh,
There's several tables that are open that looks like they would accommodate the 6 of you. Or there is the bar, which is long across the back of the room, stretching out. And there's more than one bartender or server that seems to be serving people drinks and food there.
hopefully they sit me down someplace. And they'll just
like-
push me in the corner.
It's like, oh, beer! And suddenly the shoulder is gone.
Yeah.
And you're just left standing in the middle of this town. It's like,
Kitty.
Well,
Kitty?
Kitty is not supposed to be done.
Oh, Kitty is down
Yeah.
there.
There's a
Looking
kitty
down
down
there.
there.
He's been okay. He's running around.
Yeah, it's all fine and good until he pees in a place we can't clean
Well,
up.
hopefully not.
There you
I don't
go.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cats don't do that.
I don't know what you're talking about. What cat have you been living with?
well then,
Yes. So
I will make
finding-
sure I get sat down.
Is everybody sitting up at the bar? Because yeah, and then keeping an eye on Casilda, you watch as the older gentleman follows to the door and hesitates a second before opening the door and entering. The rest of you, if you're keeping an eye out, see this older gentleman in kind of these fairly plain but clean, a long brown coat with a kind of cream shirt underneath with laces that are most of the way laced up. Some basic brown pants and boots.
Human or
And it looks to be human. You don't see any point on the ears. A little short for a human, but not anything in like the dwarven range.
At this rate, I'll leave Casilda
Dwarven
outside.
In
What's that? You leave-
I'll leave Casilda outside. I will then start mind weirdness, letting everybody know that this man has been following us, and
Okay.
don't be obvious. And then I will then just go ahead and get back into Casilda, watching for others.
Okay.
Like
All
farm
right. You
people
all
and
hear
whatnot.
this voice in your head, and as his eyes clear up for a second, and then he goes right back.
It's a miracle. Oh, I'm blind again.
After just kind of doing a really bad job of just looking over around and kind of wandering around, he does make his way immediately up to Luther. Kind of ignoring the rest of you, actually. And says, "Yes, would you happen to be Thomas?" And Luther says, "Well, no, actually, unfortunately, Thomas,
He's super dead.
well, I was going to say, but yes, he unfortunately died of the crossing." And the older gentleman says, "Oh, well, that's too bad. However,
We didn't do
I'm gonna
it.
do like
Not
a
our
deception check to not steal.
Not our fault.
and he says, I hear the crow has flown," and gives like this knowing look to all of you around.
We have no idea what you mean.
Has perhaps the bugbear has squatted. No?
I don't know.
Yes,
what's
but
happening.
what very nice shoes he has.
No. You're misunderstanding. And he
Roll
starts to go like this,
Oh, yeah.
and kind of the dictator has overcome.
Overcome
Oh, yeah.
syphilis? Or
Yeah.
what exactly? What's going on?
No, and he starts kind of going like this and rocking back and forth. Actually,
Okay.
Somebody get
Somebody,
a drink.
I cast spycraft myself.
I cried on himself.
Would
And-
Anything?
comprehend language? Something like this?
No, this is not like that TNG episode. Actually,
I don't know what that is.
there's a great episode where Picard is stuck on a planet and somebody can only speak in symbols.
Hmm.
In any case, sorry.
Crom is getting impatient with this guy.
Yes. Around this time, one of the servers
Yeah.
walks up to the table that you all had kind of sat down at and says, "Oh wait, I gotta find the. I gotta find my notes real quick. Where are my notes? I have too many notes." And says, "Yes, Ernesto, come away from them. No. Why are you even in here?" And goes up to him and kind of takes him by the elbow, like you would like like an ailing grandfather, and kind of escorts him
Hey,
back
hey.
out the door.
Wait,
and-
No.
what-
He's fine.
No,
We're doing business.
no, believe me, he used to be somewhat of great importance. It has been a few decades since then, and his mind is not all what it used to be. I'm sure he meant no harm, and he is harmless, but you're not doing business with him, believe me.
Well, let's say we just keep him here for the sake of entertainment. How about that?
If you would like, and kind of
That was
directs him back down as he says, "Thank you," and continues to ask you these questions that you have no answer to. However, a few minutes later, a maybe 10, 12-year-old girl looks as if she's probably has some elf in her. Comes into the room through the main doors and starts looking directly about, and after seeing your table comes over directly and says, "Yes, you would be Luther, yes." And to Luther, and he nods, and she looks around the rest of you and says, "And is one of you Thomas?"
Dead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Would you still be interested in the deal? We still have salted pork.
Oh,
Oh, of course. I'm
Well,
starving.
Ernesto.
And Ernesto looks at you and says,
We
the
thought.
harpies scream
The giants have
236.
shrunk.
I think we were mistaken.
PMBC.
try out every nonsense phrase we can think of. See if we can like turn him into a god or something.
No, I don't.
He's
Um,
got a kill code that we have to
But
guess.
this young child who has come up to you says, "Yes, my name is Nadia. You follow me? The deal was supposed to actually take place outside of the city. This is only a contact point. She seems she seems very, very capable for such a young girl.
And this is the deal with the salted pork.
Yes,
Are you gonna try to rob us?
that's.
No.
She gives you this look like they're always saying this about us. I'm not sure why they do. We do not steal. We are not thieves. We will not steal your children.
Oh, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to offend you.
All
like
these.
that.
That's just. We come to town and they think of these things. So just please follow me.
Sure.
I guess. Yeah, I'll follow.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
It just
We
seems
can-
sort of clandestine for.
We'll just kill them.
Oh, I'm
We
gonna-
are not always welcome in the city.
Oh, I see.
I'm gonna throw some oranges at some people before I leave. They have like
Throw
portraits
them?
on them. Yeah.
With your name and
Yeah.
contact info.
Yeah, a
Business.
portrait and my name.
And your Instagram tag.
Is Ernesto following us?
Ernesto doesn't. He immediately takes one of these slightly unfinished drinks off the table and just kind of starts sipping it, just glancing around him knowingly with this look on his face.
I was really hoping he was going to sound more like Bernie Sanders in my head. That's how he was going to be.
You see the 1%.
He's going to be like, what's the deal with all this food here? Why is it so expensive?
But following Nadia out, back onto the streets.
Are you sure you meant Sanders and not Larry David?
I do like his impression.
Either one.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
like
a
they're
good impression.
interchangeable
A
at
little
this
bit calm
point.
A, a little bit calm B.
Moving back out into the street, you notice that she's not dressed as well as a lot of the people you've seen in this part of town. What good enough clothes, but is actually barefoot and has a kind of scarf wrapped around this part of her head with hair spilling out the back. Specifically, you, Salai. It reminds you in some ways of home, as well as her comments about being unwelcome in many places.
How's about maybe like a history check? I want to see if I recall any lore or history about people who would be stereotyped or accused of like stealing children and that kind of common
Okay.
thought. I guess history.
Change.
Yeah, make a history check.
The gypsies of this world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask
Distani.
after he does that.
Yeah.
Natural 20.
Natural
it's like
20. I mean,
28.
you've once again, like many things, you definitely read about something like this. You've had no experience with them. Only some unfortunate phrases that have been used over the years about being cheated out of things like that. But not exactly that they have a history in this world exactly, but they appeared maybe a century or so ago, seemingly out of nowhere, and began just wandering the world. But they're known as the Vistani.
Hey.
Yeah, Vistani. Hell yeah.
Oh,
I guess I'm gonna walk up to her and like just in a whisper.
where's
We did.
Strahd? yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
Nadia,
That was a very long campaign.
maybe I'm assuming a lot.
Because you
here,
guys
but
wanted to
what,
do
what troop or
every
tribe are
side.
you from?
Vistani.
She kind of gives you kind of a little bit of startled look, and then smiles a little bit.
Curse of Strahd is great.
Yeah.
I was got a few sessions in.
Let me find thing. I am Miriam Stora. They are the Visparos of our tribe. Are you?
Yeah, Stippy. My with the shore.
I think your honor is my honor. She looks just taken back for a second. I did not. I'm sorry. I did not see her at the start.
Are you cursed?
You are this. You're not Gajo. This is good. Please, yes, come. We will go.
I'm so glad.
Very curious.
And it takes a while getting through this city. I mean, it's about 40,000 people, you guess. So not a huge city, but a good-sized port city. You pass more than your usual share of blacksmiths going through the city. Many of them having fairly large operations. Even you see several armorers, people that specialize in even certain tools.
I want to check that out on the way back if we can.
Alright. I mean, if you want, you can just roll a perception check. You can see if you catch certain places that you might want to come back later.
14.
14. You see more than one armorer, probably two that you definitely know are armorers, a third that looks like they probably also make armor. You also see several places that seem to be kicking into high gear with cranking out swords and axes. Seem to have stacks of them, and even loading. One you see loading onto a cart, just this heavy duty cart, just with lance heads and halberds and all kinds of pole arm
What about
heads.
stables? Any stables or anything? War horses?
Yeah, I mean you
Missing line?
see a few stables. You see several people on horseback or horses pulling carts and things like that. You don't necessarily see any place that looks like they're selling horses, but you imagine that since there are several horses, more than several horses as you're walking around, many horses, that it looks like you could probably find somewhere that was selling them.
Okay.
Or if you offered enough, somebody would just sell you their horse.
Cool.
Yeah. But exiting the city, as you top the rise of the terraces, you see that more of the city kind of spreads out in a little bit of a low downward slope coming back from the shore, where it was a very steep slope coming up. This now looks like it's the backside of this large hill that butts up to the seashore, and the city kind of spreads out more here as it had been more condensed in the terraces. As you get up to about the 6th terrace and it tops out, you see that it's a little bit more spread out up here. There's some larger, looks like governmental buildings. One in particular looks like it's a good size, closer to the northern edge of the city, a good size castle, or fortified manor maybe. It's hard to say which. It's very ornate looking. And then you also see several what looks like large temples kind of spotted throughout the smaller buildings of the city as it spreads out. But another maybe 30 minutes past there, you're making your way towards the actual outskirts. Yeah. No. As you get closer to the outskirts of the city, there's fewer people. Slowly, everything else kind of dies away into the background. There's fewer buildings. You see your first farm, and then you start to see these small kind of stands of trees, and even beyond that, forest leading up into these tall mountains that rise above. The main road that you're on takes a slow turn to the south and east, and it's fairly well traveled. But yes, after just a few more minutes of that, you come to one of these stands of trees in between these farmsteads, and you see several large carts that are covered, not with as you think of like a Conestoga wagon covered, but an actual wood house kind of built on the back of a wood cart with these large wheels on them, these huge draft horses that are picketed out in their own kind of little pasture, as they seem to have set up a not permanent camp, but a fairly well-established camp. There's probably a dozen large carts, maybe 50, 60 people that are, as this is getting late afternoon, there's a few of them wandering back in and going through, looks like picking through things that they were managed to buy in town. And a couple fires are being built around the kind of circled wagons of this tree area. Nadia motions for you to wait and runs off, seemingly to find someone. But
Let's get a tarot reading.
Yeah.
you find yourself
Eva.
in the midst of a Vistani camp, which is very familiar to you. Although this does not look like the same kind of camp that you had grown up in, not entirely anyway. The colors of the wagons are a little bit more muted and darker in color here. There's a lot more reds and like deep purples in the coloring, whereas the ones that you had grown up around with, there was many more yellows and greens and these like bright blues. As well, you can see that the food that seems to be being prepared is while it smells very similar, the spices are similar. There's more meat being put in than you had grown up with, and things that you were a little bit more in the flower child kind of tribe growing up than these seem to be. But there are many different tribes in the Vistani culture, but as
I'm
it's
just fascinated right now, and I guess I'm gonna make plans to find the leader or the mother of the tribe at some point, whoever it is.
All right. As you're waiting there, and they're starting to build fires, a little bit of music kicks up. People are walking around talking, sometimes giving all of you just a sideways look. Eventually, Nadia comes back, and along with a human woman. She has her hair pulled back. It's this brown hair with just a little bit of kind of, I don't know, gold highlights almost in it. Like there's a little bit of something in it that almost seems to shimmer as she walks up in a long, it comes back into a long, thick braid that goes down her back, past her waist. She's dressed in a nice wool skirt with a blouse, just a plain white silk blouse, it looks like, and a robe over it that has these red stripes that go down each sleeve. And she walks up and says, Stipe, our hearth is your hearth. I am Miri.
I give the greeting back.
Yes. You are Lis?
Yes.
It's good to
I
see.
am this.
It's rarely we find someone from another tribe. There are so few of us in this place.
Yeah, I haven't seen one in many, many years. It's quite a shock to me right now, to be honest.
Well, this is not our home. We are constantly trying to find the mists again. One day we will return.
One day.
Oh.
What an odd goal.
Do you actually say
You're
that? Or
trying
No,
to
Yeah.
get out.
no, that's. I probably wouldn't know anything about that.
But please, before we do business, will you shower fire? And she gestures to the largest of the bonfires that are being built, and there's several nice-looking padded benches that have been brought out and kind of put around. And gestures for you to sit.
Yeah.
All right. Sitting down, you are immediately presented with these small cups, which smells something like very strong spiced coffee, along with these kind of small cakes on a wooden plate that smell very strongly of saffron and cinnamon. But yes, and they are delicious.
Those were
But as everybody is seated and gets kind of served, Miri also, as you all sit down, is the last to sit down and says, you have to excuse me, my wife, Tsura, has not joined us yet. She has been in the city all day looking for herbs, and hopefully we'll be home soon. I apologize. But we could at least do business now. She gestures over to Luther, who has been kind of just following along with you, just wide-eyed staring this whole time, just like, wait, what? What is going on? He doesn't, while he seems to have traveled a lot with the boat, you get the sense, just from small comments and the way he looks at things, that he doesn't often get off the boat. He's been a lot of places, just not been a lot of places.
Yeah, it's been in the ports of
Yeah.
a lot of places.
He's been like on the dock of a lot of places, or maybe to the fish market of a lot of places, but that's about it. But very quickly they go through a deal. It seems that they've come upon a good amount of salted pork, and they're looking to sell it for, which basically half the price of usual.
Nothing suspicious there.
No, not at all. Just a backroom deal for some pork that, it fell off the back of a truck
Yeah.
somewhere. But those dealings getting done, she turns to the rest of you and said, and how do you all fit into this? I'm not sure. Like I had we had been expecting Thomas. I'm sorry to not see him with you and hear that he passed.
He did.
Yes, probably.
We have known him for many years, between several different cities. That is too bad. He was a good man. However, but what are you all doing with Luther here? This is
We're just helping out a friend, but the real question is, how did you end up in this part of?
we are you are this. We travel.
Of
It has been many years, and there was a few of our tribes in Taldore, but we came over on a one generation ago, actually, to the shores here, and we've been here along the Menagerie coast. We sometimes go inland by various routes into the empire, but we try to keep here. It's less constrictive, as they say.
If you do not mind me asking, with you being so well traveled, we had booked passage on the ship that Thomas once served, and decided to help Luthor find his contact. But where we're going is further inland to the ruins of what was it, Draconia?
Yeah, Draconia.
Draconia.
Yes. Yeah, I
My.
I don't believe I've ever even been on this continent before, so I'm completely out of my depth.
Indeed. All right then. Draconia is not somewhere we travel much anymore, or even in the first place came to at all. We don't especially like flying. At least I cannot speak for you, but we here interesting.
I do not either.
And it was hard to get to the cities there without flying. Also, the Dragonborn, they did not especially like our kind. She gestures to the rest of the fires that have gathered around. There's some dancing going on at one of the fires nearby. And it seems that while Nadia was at least part human and Miri seems to be human, there are many different races kind of mixed in here with the Vistani. Still predominantly human and some elven, but you see someone who looks like they might just be a straight up orc.
Full on.
Fairly, broad-shouldered, taller than everyone else around them, and some tusks that are rising out. They might be a half-orc, but they're a pretty built half-orc if they are.
Like 3/4 orc.
Like 3/4 orc, maybe like, 12/16.
And Miri, when was the last time you said you ran into another Vistani tribe?
It has been many years. There's only one other tribe we know of on this continent.
I'm sorry, I just feel kind of negligent. I haven't spoken to my mom in a long time.
It's shame on you.
I'm...
She gives you this look.
Oh, that's well deserved. It's well deserved.
But not.
You should always get back to family. It is the most important. You know this.
I know. I feel immensely guilty right now, but I guess I give them the name of my tribe. I honestly don't know it. I didn't pick it up.
Well, generally, you know that the tribes are generally usually known here anyway by the Visbaros, the leader of the tribe, whoever was chosen among the heads of families to lead. Your own mother's tribe. Oh gosh, I don't know what they would have been. Oh, I haven't built that out. But would have been known by the matriarch or patriarch of the tribe.
Okay. I guess I'll give that name.
That name. This tribe is not known to me, but peace be upon them.
Thank you.
And the rest of you, I could understand you being him, but which are, I'm not sure.
We're friends.
Just friends.
Yeah, we're.
Interesting. All right. Please feel free. The sun is setting. Feel free to spend the night here. We offer our home to you. It looks nice enough. An actual meal starts to come out. It's a very good kind of mutton stew. And eventually, Miri's wife shows up. As you're all sitting around the fire, conversing, every once in a while somebody will get up, inspired to sing something. But mostly just quietly talking, hanging out. People are playing a little bit of music over there. And, but you see a woman come up into the firelight. To some of you, this is maybe only the second or third of these you've seen. But red-skinned, horns coming out from up here, very much like your friend Cirthus. But dressed fairly similarly to Miri, but with jet black hair instead of brown, that only comes to about shoulder length. And as she walks up, she says, "We have guests, yes." And as you all are introduced, she gives a polite nod to each of you, a kind of a knowing look to Cirthus, just, it's good to see one of ours here. We don't see many of us. It is nice to see a familiar face.
I wonder if should we like bump horns? I don't know.
Some horns, like
I don't know. That's okay.
the secret handshake. Can you both produce flame?
Longhorns, flames.
Lock horns. It's
Not myself for small.
and as you are all introduced and kind of explain who you are, she says, "It seems you are quite well traveled. Yes,
We are.
Yeah.
you have seen many things. Perhaps being such an auspicious occasion as having people such as these here, would you care for a reading?"
Of course.
Yes.
It's tradition.
Yes.
Now, I would like to just
No.
caution
No.
on one
It's
thing. The
tradition.
last time we dealt
Everything
with
worked out.
cards,
Everything worked out.
We have to.
We got free stuff.
We got
got
free stuff.
thing and
A sword.
That's all I gotta say about it. You got free stuff.
the manipulation of fates, just saying, is not
We got a
something
bag
to
of
be
wooden
tampered
pegs.
with.
Well, this would not be the manipulation of fate so much as I would be looking into them and seeing what may be.
I'm sorry, I meant no disrespect. We ran into a malevolent individual who was using very powerful artifacts that were in the shape of cards before.
This sounds like a totally different thing.
This.
I will warn you that sometimes knowing about what to make can affect your decisions.
but it'll still happen.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, how to say this? The future is always in flux. The past, for that matter, is in flux.
What?
I know. It is difficult to explain, but
I understand. Yep.
that is good to hear. She gives you this look, kind of like.
I want to go first.
Very smart.
Right. Well, and that's. Would you like a reading, or would you like a reading for the group?
It's like,
Let's do the group.
I mean, a
first.
group
Why not?
reading would be, yeah, if that's possible. Me too.
Sure.
I mean, they do not take long.
We are missing two, but I don't suppose that would influence the reading.
It may.
Mm.
Without those threads here, we may not pick up on things that otherwise we would. Everything kind of, everybody as they hear a reading is going to happen. It seems that this is, that Sora is the only one here that does this.
It's a trick. It's called a cold reading. I'll show you later.
But as she does, she says, I will do one for the group to start. And she reaches into the cloak that she's wearing and brings out a deck of cards, which she begins to shuffle back and forth and lays out on the table kind of in front of her.
got props, man.
I like props. They're fun.
Totally nothing.
Okay.
You know,
Exactly.
no big deal.
Sounds-
But he does have props.
And she says, who would like to choose for the group?
You go.
We can take turns. That is fine.
Yeah,
We will be
Let's roll
5
for
cards.
initiative.
There are 5 of you.
This side.
So we just each pick a card, any card.
Well, we do one first.
See it this, are you sure you don't want to go first? I'll take that as a no.
Everybody's kind of looking at each other.
Hey, good luck, you got a bag of wooden pegs.
Please
last
let me
time.
see. Oh, interesting. The priest. This is our focus card. This card represents the people asking the questions. Now I gotta find actually what this means. Wait, this is.
It appears that he has an idea.
The priest, that's the that's the master of glyphs. Okay.
These thoughts.
You to some in your group at least, deities are important. Enlightenment is what, well, you are looking for. Higher purpose is what is here for you. But let us see what the next card is. Who would like to pick the next one?
I'll go.
Pick a card. Any card. The Seer. Now I need to find out where did I put these things? Spooky.
I do see things.
Our second card represents the past. However, this is interesting. It is reversed. She kind of looks at it for a moment before saying something.
Dude's got a lot of mind's
Let's see, it was
eyes.
the crowns. Why am I not finding? He does have a lot of mind's eyes. Oh, there it is. Okay. It represents the
Is this
past.
the first time you've done a reading?
Don't start this. Don't.
This is interesting because usually this card represents the future. Something to come, a future event, an outcome that will hinge upon something. But this is come up for the past. I do not know. Is perhaps it is reversed. So it could be that your past will be your future. You will have to come back to something that is in your past. Or something from your past will come into your future. I do not. This is interesting. Who would like to pick another one? We'll see. The Conjurer. All right. Actually, this represents the present. Conjurer is the 9 of... It's hard to find these things. There's so many cards.
There are.
There are so many cards.
So where do these
Like,
cards
I
go?
even practiced this hard. Why am I not finding...
9 of stars, 9 of pentagrams or something.
Stars, there it is. The Conjurer. This is the present. There's something that will happen very soon, or is happening now, that is unexpected to you. Something perhaps around the gods. Or something near there, something supernatural. This is... There are many interesting threads winding their way around you. Let us see, though, the next card. Pick a card. Any
This
card.
one.
Yeah.
This one's fine.
The fourth card. The Missionary, but reversed.
How can you tell if it's reversed?
It's upside down.
Compared to
'Cause the woman's up
focus
top.
card, it's upside down. Yes, the two of those.
I was gonna say the words are both ways. So
This is interesting. This card should represent, I don't remember, fourth card, the future. And usually the missionary would represent those who spread wisdom and faith in others,
Spread stupidity.
warnings. But this, if it is reversed, not necessarily wisdom and faith, but something terrible.
Yep.
Someone is spreading evil. Who are you people?
Wait, let's get to that last
It's a
card.
mixed bag.
All right. Would you like to choose? Who has not chosen? You have not chosen.
You can just pick one for me.
Peace.
Sure.
The Donjon. Reversed. 3 reversed cards in one reading.
Don John.
Yes. Old Don John.
At first I thought he was saying dungeon weird, but no, it's Don
Well,
John.
They're actually related.
Dungeon and Dragon.
Okay.
This is the outcome card. This is
You will
an
be
indication of the outcome of the focus situation. Interesting. This card usually means isolation, imprisonment, being trapped within one's own beliefs, unable to see other things. However, it is reversed. So it would be something more along the lines of seeing new things, seeing things one did not expect at all. So, you are a pious group of individuals who have seen things from your future already somehow, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Something currently is supernaturally happening and affecting you, either from the gods or some arcane thing. Something about you is spreading evil, but also something in the end will be surprising, something you had not expected. This is interesting. Does any of this, I'm just asking you, does any of this ring true with you?
I mean, you could make that apply to anything.
It's so vague.
It's just, who knows?
I'm sure we're
You will
all
die
thinking
next
our own.
Tuesday.
That's the kind of reading I'm looking for. Gold hard.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, I think that does.
Hilarious
I-
joke.
I do not know if I could interpret these cards like you, but I believe we have a destiny, and I believe we are headed towards it.
Interesting. You said there are 2 others in your group that are not here.
Correct.
I would be interested to meet them. Some of these, I worry. The reversed missionary, it seems... She does not pick up on the connotation. Is too intent on the cards to hear your giggle. How would that even work, anyway?
I just 69.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is where we're at.
This worries me. I feel as if great doom will be brought by the 7 of you.
It's 8.
It's 8.
Yeah, okay.
What friend? Keep saying.
She looks at you for a second and then looks down, looks like some kind of herbs out of her pockets and crushes them between her fingers and inhales, and she closes her eyes as her eyebrows go up, and she opens her eyes and you see her pupils all the way dilated, and as she's looking at you, she
Get some of
says,
that.
she says, oh yes, I see.
Wait,
I'm
wait.
looking for
You
a
can see.
animal or something.
You can see what she's talking about.
Who?
The girl.
Who she's talking to?
Yes, she is right there.
It's real.
So it's not. So
Well, it is not in this plane, but it is real.
She's not in this plane. What, if you
I thought
don't
we were not.
mind me asking, what did you just do?
It's you might call it a spell.
Yes.
It is something. It took many years for me to learn. But it allows me to see things as they truly are.
Oh, truth.
Well, this is unsettling.
Would anybody like their own reading, or are you satisfied with? It was interesting. I
I'll
must say.
take my own reading.
Please choose your focus. I'm interested.
So you don't put those cards back in the deck?
No. The bishop. The 8 of.
I'm still trying to figure out reverse missionary.
Glyphs. There it is. Okay.
Regular cowgirl.
Yeah, I was about to say, when you said how can you tell it's reversed?
You
I
are
said,
one
'cause the
who-
one's on top.
You have a very certain way of thinking. You always have something. You always have a new idea going on, though. Interesting. Okay. Please, your second card.
True enough.
The traitor, but reversed. This is who you have been in the past. The traitor is Marcus.
Reverse.
Yes.
Betrayed.
Usually this would mean you betrayed someone close to you, or you had lost faith, but reversed, you have tried to stay true to someone very close to you and to your own beliefs. You've had a strengthening of faiths in the recent past.
I find that to be true, yes.
Please, the third card. The tax collector.
Oh no.
Set down here.
It's
Is that a reverse technical collector? No,
It
it's
is
not.
not.
But it's the same thing. Okay. I'll get this one.
There it is. This. Wait, we're on the third card. I gotta remember what
Present.
card
It's
we're on.
present.
Present. This is what you may be presently going through. That's what it is. There is something that is happening along. Something around you is going to be happening with corruption. Someone very high up in charge of something. In an organization, a government, just. Yes, it could also mean that where else you might look to find corruption, you might find sudden honesty. Look for these in the near future.
okay.
The future. Alright. Yes. The mercenary. Four of Swords. You know, it's hard to do a reading when you've really never done one before. This shows that you will fight with inner strength. That you are one who will not be easily defeated. You will also be fighting for great power. Trying to achieve it. But, well, let us see what the outcome. She kind of takes an
That's ominous.
inhale of breath as she sees this. This is a hard card to read. The Hooded One, the Seven of Swords. A mysterious presence. Something new that was not seen before. Something in the end of what you're looking for is something that is someone that you had not expected. I do not know if you will find the power that you are looking to seek.
Well, that's terrifying. But thank you for sharing your gift with us.
You're welcome. Would anybody else like a reading while we're all right? As she puts up her cards, she says, "Please do not take any of this as gospel. There is
For entertainment only.
there is some truth to it.
Okay.
In that whatever truths you may not have seen otherwise in yourself, you may see now. Of course, occasionally, there is some literal truth to it too. Take it as you will." And she kind of relaxes back onto her stool and picks up some bread and just kind of starts eating.
Is it customary?
What? Yes. Sorry.
The extra planar friend over here. Good, bad, evil. Like, is this something we should be concerned about? That we have this extra planar entity following us around?
Yes.
Let me look at your side real quick.
I cannot stress this enough. That is not normal.
No,
And
it's not.
considering certain circumstances involving our group,
Who defines normal? Really?
we should be wary of any influence.
I cannot say whether they are evil or good. They are there. And they seem to be connected. The two of them. There's almost a line drawn between them, like a cord.
All right. Well, that
Mm,
at least we know that it's a thing, a
yes,
real
I
real
No,
thing.
I told you not crazy.
will try and deal with this tomorrow.
Cut
Deal
the string.
tomorrow.
That would be preferable, yes. I fear something.
So later, when it's around bedtime, I'm gonna try to find a hearth, and I'm gonna try to speak with someone.
Okay. So as the night winds down after the readings, everybody kind of disperses once again to the other fires. Music picks up a little bit again. Some people head off to bed, or maybe other things, you don't know. Yeah, you are kind of left to your own devices. Shown a nice little kind of alcove that's been cleared out under one of the wagons and piled with blankets and cushions for you to sleep in nearby. It seems that many of the people here sleep in there, or sometimes actually in the wagons, depending on the season and things like that. But you're looking for a hearth? All right. I mean, there's several of what you might call a hearth, a place near the fires where people had put these large worn stones down to cook on and things like that. And as everybody disperses as the night goes on, at least one of these, at the smaller fires, as it's kind of still a guttering kind of flame with some hot coals around it, has been largely abandoned by the people who had been tending it and sitting around it. But it has a small hearth next to it.
I'll take a couple minutes to like just draw out my mom, and then I'm gonna try to talk to Vesta, or I'll pray to Vesta. Say, Vesta, I don't know if you can hear us, but I've had a very troubling day today, and maybe it's just fate, but the thing you said and the reading I had, whatever credence you put into that, it's all pointing to something that isn't sitting well on my soul, or whatever's going on. And me being in this Vestine tribe again, I'm worried about my mom, and I'm also worried about myself, of course. And if you just have any more information about where the danger is around us, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll leave the drawing of my mom with her, and then I'll go to bed.
Okay. All right. The rest of you going to sleep?
I'm dancing.
You're dancing? I mean, there is still some dancing going on for sure. And these Vistani know how to play and they know how to dance. They also know how to drink.
Yeah.
Also, several times as the night goes on, you are asked, do you spice? Would you like some?
Spice it up, man.
There is some small a small pipe being passed around with a little bit of sood in it. If you would like to partake.
Yeah.
I gotta remember how we're consumed. Oh gosh. Where is the creations campaigns? Nope. Homebrew. There.
Do I?
Hmm?
Would I know anything about that mist stuff
The mist.
on my own? That inquiring.
Tell you what, you make either a history or an arcana check. Make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh.
You're smoking soda.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. 23.
23. And it was a history or arcana check.
They have the same amount.
Oh, they have the same. Okay. So
Constitution saving.
10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you meet, you beats.
Yay.
Oh, okay.
So. Oh gosh. There it is. Okay. Now please roll a d100. Now
Wish
this is the
spell.
fun part.
Yeah.
Wish spell.
100.
100. Please re-roll.
Right? Isn't that how you
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
that's it,
rolled a
yeah.
100. That's
Reroll.
incredible.
77?
70. Re-roll again. Sorry, I only have a certain number of things in here.
200. No,
Yeah.
2.
2.
2.
Okay. You feel suddenly like if you feel suddenly empowered as the high really gets to you, and your eyes get wider and the light and everything around you just seems more vibrant. But at the same time, you also feel like you could take on like anything right now.
I could dance forever.
And like somebody like one of those crazy wizards could come at you and like cast fireball at you or something, and you would be able to like absorb that energy or something like that if you chose to.
Cool.
Yes.
Jump for a Bible.
Yeah. Throw a fireball at me. Come on, do it. Come on, do it.
At least for the next hour, you do. In any case, anybody else doing anything tonight? Oh, you had asked about the mist.
They
And
have
somebody.
like a bonfire going on?
Oh, yeah, there's several bonfires. One large one, and there's some
I'm gonna
smaller
jump
ones.
through it.
Do
Like
it.
run through it.
Okay, make
Totally not hurt, right?
make an athletics check.
It's not so bad.
While you're making that check, in the meantime, you have heard
16.
of these rare mists appearing around the world, and things either being taken into it and never seen again, or things coming out of it. Sometimes horrors out of nightmare. Other times just people wandering. They're fairly rare, but they do occasionally happen in just random places throughout the globe. You've heard of them before in just in vague connotation with the Vistani, as in at one point several of these mists had appeared around the time that the Vistani first started appearing in the world.
Okay.
But yes. And would you roll on the 16?
16.
Yeah, you're able to jump through, and as it as it does, like you feel the flame start to burn you, but you're able to almost kind of absorb it into you, and you feel like stronger than you had before, even though you're also kind of singed.
Yeah, can I buy some off of those people
Yeah, you
for
can.
later? Just for
I mean,
later.
there's definitely a dealer
Just for
here. Like
things.
as you walk up to him, he's like, "Yes, do you like some seed? We could use some seed. We have it. Yeah,
Yes, I'll take 5.
some seed.
5 seed, please.
5 seed.
She'd like a number 6 combo.
Can I please have 5 marijuanas?
5 jazz cigarettes, if you will.
Jazz cigarettes. You have to smoke them like this. Okay, that's gonna run you probably about 10 gold.
Okay.
But you now have 5 sewed lace joints. So that's fun.
So,
For a little bit of context, there has been a time where, in the midst of a dungeon crawl, Crom decided to smoke Sood while fighting a gelatinous cube, and then passed out.
Yeah.
oof.
So that was fun.
Sometimes it worked out.
Sometimes it did work out really well. That's true. But now, okay. As the night winds down, though, more and more of the fires burn down, and eventually there's only a little bit of the main fire burning, and most people have stopped their dancing. The ones who are really into dancing have kind of wandered off together, quietly in pairs, sometimes in more than pairs, as is wont to happen when smoking too much Sood. But
This time.
eventually, you all settle in for a nice night's rest, and waking in the morning, you find the camp slowly waking up around you, preparing some kind of porridge for breakfast. It looks like nearest to you is Miri and Sura, as apparently you had been bedded down beneath their own personal wagon. That's where they had given you a spot. What would you all like to do? You have the whole day in front of you. It is early morning. You have, a city at your fingertips, as well as you probably need to find or maybe wait for your friends.
I'm gonna first check out to see if the drawing is still there that I left.
Okay. Moving back over there, you find the fire entirely burnt out, and the drawing is not there. It was at least taken. You're not sure how.
And then I guess I'll regroup with everybody.
But yeah, I'll say, Chrome, do you mind if I try something? Yeah.
This I
What?
want to see.
What?
I am unsure of this connection you have with, what was it, Reese? So I want to make sure it's not a curse.
Oh, okay. She's really cool, so I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
it's
and
not.
if it is not cursed, this will not break it. But,
Okay.
just say, by thy blood and thy faith, I banish curses from this body, and just touches your shoulder, or actually probably your hand, because you're way too tall, and cast remove curse.
Okay.
All curses affecting one creature or object end. Does anything happen? Is she still
Okay.
there?
As he casts this, you you feel kind of this tingling settle over your body. And you look over, and Rid is still there.
Just
Although she is staring at Quintus and like frowning and looks fairly angry.
So she is still there.
I'm gonna ask her, did that hurt you, Kitty?
She says, "It did not hurt, but this one, I do not like him. He's trying to get rid of me."
If you were bad, then yes, but you're not bad, so nothing to worry about. Where are you from, by the way?
Back.
Where are you from?
From my home, I don't rightly remember. I remember there was darkness, and then there was you. You are my home.
No. You live inside of my heart forever.
You just hear Crom talking to Noah.
Yeah.
Yes, you just hear that side of the conversation.
Can I like do an insight?
Yeah, you would do an
I'm
insight
like,
check.
she said she didn't know where she's from. I don't know. Oh. I'm totally okay. 7.
7. She seems genuinely just okay. She's definitely like still kind of thrown and angry with Quintus, and keeps looking
Actually,
back at him.
I have a question. Was
Yes.
there any reaction when, like, I know it wouldn't do anything, but was there any reaction when I cast that spell because they were branded? Like, do you think would that be
Oh,
cons-
interesting.
Like, perhaps it might even affect the person.
That's right.
Or,
Are you cursed in another way?
That's right.
yeah, are there?
I hadn't
'Cause
thought.
it's
I forgot
all
about the
curses.
brand. It's all curses.
But yeah, I know, like, this is a
Curse.
3rd level spell. It's not breaking
And
a
does
god's
my
character's spell.
weird sword still work?
Oh, also, yeah, it would immediately unattune you from any cursed objects that you are attuned to.
But it's not the owners to the object. Well, no, and this is a point of. I should have asked you. Are you placing your hand? Where are you placing your hand? What are you
Oh,
casting?
I
this on?
touched Crom.
Okay, you touched Crom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. If
Yeah,
the
okay.
object is cursed, I think I have to
Okay.
touch the object.
So you pressing on
From
Crom.
rages!
As it's happening, it does not
Okay.
unattune from you.
Like,
However,
we'll get to that later.
since we're talking about this, yes, you feel a stinging in the brand on your arm, and while it doesn't disappear, it definitely seems to have like affected it in some way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quintus, do you know of anyone that can do that except better? No offense, that was great.
No, that is a fair assessment. Perhaps it would take very high level magics, divine magics, maybe in Vasselheim.
What level?
Yeah. I have a good feeling, or I have a strong feeling that we're gonna need that soon.
I think that is correct. Yes.
That's like.
So should we be trying to get to Draconia now? What do we want to
No?
do?
Well, we need to find our friends if we are going to leave, but I suppose we could go ahead and try and find means of travel.
And we have communication rings. I think Roland has one, right? I don't know if Shay.
And I can get in touch with Shay if necessary.
Yeah. All right.
So we'll go check out.
Speaking of, I don't know if I've ever explained to any of you, but if you would
Okay.
like to speak with someone anywhere in the world, as long as you can make them known to me, I can sort of talk to them. I feel perhaps, Salai, you would be familiar with this magic sending.
Sounds familiar, but I don't know it personally.
I can just send a message as long as I'm familiar with them. I know their physiology and name.
Maybe you
Alright.
should talk to your mammy.
I use it to communicate nightly with my faith whenever the spell slots are permitted. So yeah, I'm guessing if any of you had seen me at night, I would have been casting sending, just kind of muttering under my breath at some point, which is creepy.
You're just like,
Maybe we should remove a curse from you.
If you
Talking to
you
you.
mean kettle calling the pot calling the kettle. No, one of those.
well, we shall see.
Okay. So we're moving back into town, trying to find faster transportation across the continent, as well as your friends.
And you want to try to find it.
Oh yes, the blacksmiths.
Yeah, I kind of
Something.
lost all my javelins, and it'd be nice to have a backup ranged throwing thing. If there's a place that might have some ranged
All right.
weapons.
Probably
I have
find
a
that.
rifle.
Specialized.
Rifle.
I don't like rifles. I'm not hunting weapons.
Hunting weapons.
Rabbits, he's like duck season.
Getting back into the outskirts of the city, you're starting to find some shops and things again. When so you in particular catch a scent. It smells very familiar. This scent of like extremely good smelling, freshly baked bread, which you've smelled in other places, but just this certain type of bread that it just really suddenly reminds you of Vesta. And as you kind of stop for a moment and looking off to the side down one of the small side streets, you see what looks to be a small courtyard with a shrine in it, with several people in these kind of light green robes that are walking around. So one of them seems to be praying, another seems to be carrying a censer and kind of swinging it back and forth.
I'm gonna run to them immediately. I'll beeline straight to them.
So beelining over there, you find yourself in a fairly small courtyard, like it's maybe 20 feet across by a little bit more long, but with a small altar kind of set up that looks a lot like a fireplace hearth, where there looks to be several loaves of bread inside kind of a small oven kind of area that are baking. These figures walking around are in their green robes. One of them has a chain, a steel-looking chain with an emblem on it, in the shape of a loaf of bread, and looks up as you come in and says, "Yes, what can I do for you?"
This seems unlikely, but are you all followers of Vesta by any chance?
And her smile breaks out into a large, "Yes, you have heard of her."
Yes, I have.
Yes.
I've more than heard of her. I've actually spoken with her on several occasions.
Oh my. Well, I am baker here in this small temple. There are not many of us anywhere in all of Wildmount, but she has appeared to us, some of us in visions, myself not yet, but I was chosen by the others to be leader for this month.
That's amazing.
But yes, it's so rare to find someone who already knows about her.
You're telling me?
Oh, you please come. There is a believer, and they all kind of come up to you, and they're like, hello, how are you? You said you've met her.
And I take out the rolling pin. I guess I'll show them the rolling pin.
They immediately all, every one of them, just drops to their knees and is like, you've heard. Speaking of such things, I had not thought to see it with my own eyes. And she starts sobbing as you kind of hold out a rolling pin in the midst of these people that are just bowing and kneeling before you.
I was gonna ask Ron, is this Vesta, the god of bread?
The rest of you are still out on the street seeing this happen. Suddenly, Salai is being seems to be being worshipped inside this small temple off the side where they're baking bread.
Okay, this all isn't necessary. I'm a servant just like you all, but I could use your help, perhaps.
Anything. What can we do for you?
How do I explain this? I've had a troubling past couple of days, and I've made some very bad decisions lately.
Vesta forgives all.
I know she does, but she seemed pressed for me to get rid of one particular mistake, and this seems like fate. Would you perhaps know how to remove a brand, or...
Well, I mean, we ourselves do not. What kind of brand? I mean, like a literal like brand, or
a brand from an unsavory character, let's say that.
Quintus is just making this face.
as you all come into the courtyard, kind of surrounding
Yeah,
you.
well, I got a very high passive
Look at all the people
perception.
surrounding Sully. Let's go over there, see what's going on.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, more information. I'm sure there are several healers in the city that might be able to help with removing scar tissue or things like that.
Nothing like
but,
scar tissue, like
but a brand. It's magical in nature.
magical in nature. Yes.
Oh,
From a god.
from a
Yes.
god. Yes. One such as Our Lady Vesta.
Worse.
Worse. I mean, she is all that is good and
Exactly.
right in the world.
Exactly.
She provides all that we need.
Well, think of a god that doesn't do that.
Kind of the
that, but, like,
opposite.
Think of that, but like the opposite. Like takes everything. You're saying that like as if to say a betrayer god.
Exactly.
They all kind of, as they all come up out of their bow and kneeling, just kind of looking at each other like, what?
Just adding on to it. Like a full sleeve. Around
Just
it.
like-
Just get like every
Do we get the
other
full
god
set,
symbol
like of
around
all the
it.
betrayer god brands?
Then you become Abaddon the Despoiler from Warhammer 40k. Sorry, that's a very niche reference.
It's just imperative to me to get rid of this because there's apparently, as the fates speak, great evil around me, and I want to be clear for myself.
As I understand the betrayer gods, it would be the little I do understand before I came to Our Lady. You would need to find a counterpart among the prime deities. The only one of which doesn't have a counterpart, being Vesta, as she is the 13th, and that kind of throws off the balance towards that side, I suppose. In any case, it depends on the betrayer god, I suppose. You would need to find the temple of their counterpart amongst the prime deities. Which betrayer god?
Promise not to freak out. We're all Vesta supporters here.
Riders?
All right.
Loth.
I think we just left where her counterpart is. Like it would be in Singleworm.
She looks at you for a moment and says, well, I mean, also Vesta is not a fan. However,
Oh, I know.
the Archheart would really be the prime goddess of the elves. Is really the one to go for that, but it is for such a brand given by a betrayer god, you would have to find the holiest of holy places of the Archheart. Indeed. Were this one of the others, perhaps, I don't know, the Wild Mother, we could possibly find you a temple more easily, or at least a place. But yes, Singorn would be the place to go for that. I'm sorry we could not help you more.
No, you've done more than enough. and
Still, I feel like Vesta has sent you to us. It feels like.
I believe.
Is there anything you need to know? I mean, we are all fairly well versed in at least local politics, or power structures, or if you need transportation possibly, or supplies, or
Transportation would be great. We're trying to get to Draconia.
Draconia. Well, you might be able to find a caravan going as far as Nicodranus, but to Draconia, you will have to cross into the Ashkeeper Peaks, and that seems dangerous at the best of times.
Well, where can we find a caravan to Nicodranus?
Well, I'm sure you might be able to hitch a ride on anything going to the southeast, on the major roads. Specifically, the Gilded Road is probably the best traveled. It's in fact paved in some parts.
Wow. Okay. Noted. Something else. I don't know.
And as you all have the rest of you gathered in here, are you waiting in the street, or what is happening?
I'm just standing in the street,
probably
like
be
looking at the
outside.
different shops, maybe
I
seeing what's
gathered.
around.
Like, I'm
You
intrigued.
gathered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would have gathered around, like, because you said, like, a bunch of people kind of like,
They suddenly dropped to their knees and started bowing to him.
Yeah,
in the
I would've
courtyard
gone to
as he
check
went
out,
in.
like-
Yeah.
oh, great, they think Sully's a god.
It's like, oh, they're talking fate. I'm in.
All right. And the rest of you are with our friend? Yes, you?
Yes.
And you?
Yes.
And you? Yes. That's okay. Oh, well. Please, we will be... what little help we can give, we will offer. And you can see, being in the courtyard now, that there isn't much other than... It's like a courtyard between buildings that they seem to have set up a altar in. There's a small kind of lean-to almost thing on the behind the altar where it looks like they might bed down for the night, but they don't actually have a building here. It's just kind of a small shrine that they've set up and been allowed to set up worship in.
This place could use a little decorating, right? Would you mind if I paint on that wall over there while we talk?
You'd have to ask the shop owner.
I won't.
Okay, you are the chosen of Vesta.
Well, that's strong.
And
Strongly worded.
I'm sorry. Just so we know your name, please.
Sa'ali.
Sally. Sally. They kind of whisper it back and forth to each other. One of them starts to write it down on a small scroll that they have over to
boy.
the side.
It's not like with his profit. Or
Sounds
profit.
Could we possibly get supplies for our travelers? Maybe bread or food or anything like that?
Yes, and she gestures over. By the way, my name Celeste.
Celeste.
As she seems
Beautiful.
she's the one with the chain on, who's referred to herself as Baker of this shrine. And kind of gestures over and says, "Yes, we'll go and find it. Yes, we can. It's from our stores. Yeah, yes." And they kind of run off. We will find you at least enough for a few days. We are glad to see you. May we touch the rolling pin?
Of course.
So as you're still holding it out, and they kind of just lay a hand on it, and back, and just kind of stare at their hand afterwards. They seem very taken with you, and just you may be the first person who has known what the heck they're doing the entire time they've been here.
Oh wow.
In any case, everybody else on the street, Sirthus, Crom, you're looking around for shops?
Yeah.
All right. It's easy enough, even this far out in the city, there's fewer shops, but they're still around. There's blacksmiths everywhere in the city. You can't, until you're out of the city, you don't cease to hear the sound of hammers going and bellows going and constant work going. There's the constant smell of just burnt coal in the air, as well as a little bit of sulfur smell every once in a while. As it seems on the outskirts especially, there's some actual smelters that are processing ore that came down from the mountains. But it's easy enough to find a place that is selling basic armaments. it seems that a lot of the places here in town, even if they hadn't been making it before, have switched over. As some rumors you've heard around the area seem to point to a war that's been going on further into the continent somewhere. Not anywhere near you, and not even between the leaders here. Just there's money to be made in the arms dealing. So you're looking for some
Throwing
type thing.
Yeah, like javelin.
Okay.
Javelins.
You're able. You find a place. Several places. It's pretty easy to find hand axes if you're looking for them.
Got a pair of hand axes. Any special hand axes? Right
Special hand axes?
here. Yeah.
You're looking.
Because I've already got a set of hand axes.
Yeah. I mean, make an investigation check real quick. Just checking around.
Like,
How much?
nope, 2.
2. You don't see anything that's selling
Like
anything
no.
that you might consider magical or anything like that. I mean, there's some hand axes that look like they're probably better made. And you do find a place that is selling some javelin heads anyway. Not on the shaft yet, but they have a half dozen javelin heads that are just on the table on display in front of this actual shop and blacksmith's works.
Okay, I would like to talk to the guy and get him.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll take a call.
Okay.
And ask them to put it on a thing.
So
I don't
there's
know how it works.
you find they have 6 of them.
Okay.
He tells you that to have them mounted, it would take you until later today.
Okay.
But we could have it done easy enough. It's going to cost you 30 silver pieces,
Done.
or 3
Each
gold.
or-
3 gold altogether. Now javelins, I mean, you can they're common enough. In most places, they're used by a lot of soldiers and things like that. So yeah, you can. Yeah. But it'll take until at least the end of the day. Come back around sunset. They should be done.
Alright, cool.
All right. He does ask for payment up front.
Alright.
Sirthis, you looking for anything while you're out here, or did you?
I'm curious about like maybe a potion shop or a magic shop.
Yeah.
Anything?
I'm always looking for
Yeah,
that.
like I figured you might be into the idea because
That's like always
like a health
on
potion
default,
wouldn't be a bad
but-
thing to have in my pocket.
As you start thinking about this, the 2 of the, I guess you could consider them acolytes of Vesta, kind of run back in with a couple baskets of stuff and a burlap bag of. It looks like as you open it, it looks like there's some like crusty loaves of bread in there, and they say this could help you for out for at least the next maybe week.
Thank you.
Food wise, and they also hand you some a wine skin and a couple water skins. And, this is all we could scrape together. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I guess I'm still painting on the wall.
Yeah, you're still painting.
It's not like a super big painting. Like they won't notice. Hopefully, immediately.
Okay. Looking for a roll investigation check. Just asking around for a potion shop.
Okay.
Because it's a large enough city, you're pretty sure you can find something.
Yeah, that's a 6. Just like
In this part of the
around.
city
Don't
right
see
now,
one.
like you find several people who refer you to one local shop that they refer to as an herb shop. And it sounds like it's in a back alleyway a couple blocks over.
This is suit shop again.
I mean, they might, and when just talking about medicinal things and things like that, that's what they're like. They kind of give you a look when you say potions, but they're like, maybe this Julie's place over over in the alley. It's 2 blocks over.
I have a sneaking suspicion we are being led to a underground potion shop.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Should we go, or have you heard anything in this city? I'm afraid I've never been here.
I've never been here either.
What about
Um,
Shay?
Sounds like a place you get like
Oh.
potions for virility, you know, kind of thing.
I think I've read about those in that book I got recently. They were very persistent about them being all
They tell you,
natural.
here, eat this
and
tiger
fortifying.
penis, it'll do wonders. You gotta chew it.
Yes.
Sure, let's check out this weird shop.
Okay.
Jubilees.
So, kind of following the vague directions you get lost one time, just because they totally gave you the wrong directions. But you do find a place eventually. It's not called Julie's, but you wander back into this small dead end of a alleyway, and
Even
at
though I'm
the
not expecting much, I'm going with them. I don't know if you know
what's that?
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with them, even though
Yeah.
I'm not really expecting much.
No.
Same.
you find at the end of this dead end alleyway a small shop with a sign hung out front. It says the Salvage Garden, and
Way to sell shit.
there's a bunch of herbs and things hung in the windows, as well as some vials on racks that you can see in the small window in the front. And walking in, you find a cramped but well-appointed kind of little herb shop. Looks like they might have something around, like potions at least here, at least some small ones. And you see a halfling woman, fairly older, maybe in her mid-60s, mostly white hair, come back into a little bun on the back, and she's just kind of sitting on a stool along the side. Seems to be just separating out leaves off of a stem of something, and says, "Yes, what can I do for you?"
Oh, good afternoon. I asked around for perhaps potions or salves of the healing variety, and was led to your shop.
All right. All right then. That might be something we can do. In particular, you're looking for something like a potion, you said.
It's,
Something to heal.
we find ourselves in dangerous situations, and I can not always be there to provide the healing.
Well, I have to tell you, most of what we do here is not necessarily healing potions.
I'm intrigued.
As she kind of gestures over to some of the jars that are along the wall, you see these tight little bundles of what looks like buds of something. And they all have names kind of written on the outside of the glass jars.
It's like a weed shop, that specialty.
Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, some of this will make you feel quite good. May I suggest the Carmelicious Tangerine?
Yeah, that's what it sounds
It's
like.
a nice 92% sativa.
Will fuck you up.
Fuck you up. Or the Blueberry Moon. It's a little bit more of on the indica side of the range, but if you're looking for potions, though, we have those as well.
Yeah, more potions. The other thing is more our other companions kind of hurt you. It's probably good that she's not here.
We have some very basic healing potions.
Yes.
Yes, for 20 gold, a normal, and she holds it up, and it looks, it's slightly reddish in tint, and there's kind of some swirls that go through it, but it's a regular healing potion. 20 gold.
20 gold.
Yeah, for that.
How many do you have?
I have. As she kind of looks around behind the counter as she gets off her stool and picks them up. I currently have 2. She picks another one up. I mean, I could make more, but it will take several days to source the correct herbs. We only have very certain herbs, mostly on hand here. And,
I understand. Yes, I will take the 2.
the 40 gold, please.
Of course.
As you exchange it over, you now have 2 healing potions. And would you like any of our other wares or merchandise? We have several nice water pipes on sale, actually. This one is shaped like and you look like a very popular character in some of the stories that are told in the taverns around here.
No, I don't.
Are you sure?
think that's,
It's very relaxing.
Is my speed. I have
Some
not-
people say it
doesn't
even
seem
helps
to-
them think better. I mean,
Doesn't seem like it travels well.
No, we do a lot of traveling.
all right. That's fine. Yeah. We also have them in edible form. If you,
Huh.
Interesting.
we have some
That
gummy
sounds
bears.
better,
Uh,
Just saying.
Yeah. Do you think the
She's a real hard sell.
the acolytes of the acolytes of Vesta would appreciate some edibles since they are helping us? Is that it feels right, but I may be off
You're with them,
base.
so you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
When in Port Zune, it's up to you. In any case.
may I add a kick? Maybe they'll feel the extra special connection when they eat the bread.
Yeah, well,
Just like
I'll
one
I'll
of the universe.
think
Maybe
on it.
one.
I think the health potions will be all good.
Well, that's. Thank you for coming in. It's so rare we actually sell any of these. I'll have to make some more.
Yes.
We keep them around just in case. I mean, sometimes somebody has a bad trip and we have to. It happens.
Yes. When people trip, perhaps they hit their head. Yes.
Speaking of which, we also have some mushrooms in back. Would you be interested in those?
I am not much of a cook.
Some interesting mushrooms, or possibly some mosses. Just saying, we have. There's these beetles that exude this kind of paste. Let me tell you.
I'm intrigued.
I'm literally doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Just like what?
Are you gonna buy this shit? You got what?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, it makes you feel like your heart might explode, but you can do everything at once.
It makes you feel like your heart might explode.
Well, it won't explode. Well, there was that one case, but most of the time,
Medicine check.
medicine check.
Yeah, that's a 19.
Yeah,
What
it's
is
math.
she talking about? I see. Yes.
It's naturally sourced meth. That's what you're talking about.
I believe I have heard of this before. I think I will pass. But thank you very much for the potions. Syracuse?
That's how I get this place clean. In any case,
I'm at the door before you go.
Yeah, turn.
you bought something, and she seemed really excited that you might buy something else. Well, thank you. Please come again. I'll always here, open 6 days a week.
Okay.
In any case, moving back. Coming back to the Shrine of Vesta, where Sly is finishing up a sketch of a painting anyway. What are you painting?
I guess Vesta with the rolling pin, or how would she be holding it? In the motherly way.
Okay.
Maybe like bread surrounding her in a circle. It's
Okay.
very ornate.
Very ornate, kind of like a Venus de Milo kind of thing going on, but with a baking theme instead.
Mhm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Now, are we doing it like in the original way, or are we doing it with like some like strategically placed, like glowing cloth going over things.
The original.
That's right. That's right. They seem the acolytes seem all very happy that you're giving them this gift, and Celeste, the baker of this shrine, does come up to you as you're getting done and say, "This is a great gift to us. I imagine we will find more followers because of your visit."
Thank you. That was my intention, or at least that's what the fates had for us. So,
We will remember you. Salai, the gifted.
no, you all are the gifted.
Well, you have gifted us.
Oh god. Am I there?
You are here. We'll say you've all kind of come back together afterwards. Yeah.
I'm like, just hug and get it over with.
I've never seen Salai be humble before. What? Is he okay?
And she says, as you all kind of go to start to leave, along with the rations and things they had given you, she stops you for a moment and says, "Be careful in the city. The current leadership is harsh some of the time.
On who in particular?
Are there any?
It depends. Anyone who makes trouble, they have
They
been
don't
putting
like
it down.
Vistani.
We have tried to keep our heads down quite a bit.
Are there any weird laws or rules that we might not be aware of that could get us
Just-
in trouble? Like,
Just be very careful about getting it into any altercations
okay.
in the city.
We're pretty good about that.
Yes. Try to stay out of the politics of it, if I were you.
Yes, I certainly hope Shay is not involved in any way.
All right.
Noted. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Going on, you've spent most of the morning here in town finding, a pot shop and a good armor.
No, if they deal meth, I feel like that supersedes the pot.
At that point, it's a meth
dealers.
It's what they're willing to admit.
Like the store
to selling.
front was definitely a
What it
dispensary.
describes.
The back room, it sounded like they had some other shit in there.
Right.
She did not seem to judge in any case.
Of course.
I do.
And you are kind of on the outskirts of the top part of the city here. What would you like to do? As you still do need to find Roland. You do need to find Shay at some point before you leave. And you have not found a way to get across to Draconia yet.
So it looks like we heard that it was going to be relatively easy to find a caravan to hitch a ride
Yes.
down the roadway to Nicodrarus.
Nicodranas, which you know to be one of the larger cities on the coast here. It's the main, from the coast, it's the easiest way to get into the interior of the continent and into the Dwendalian Empire and beyond.
And we're trying to get to the peaks, the Ashkeeper Peaks.
Mm-hmm. Which you've just looking at maps and things you've seen, because you have your map that was given to you in Iman still, but the Ashkeeper Peaks rising out kind of east of Nicodranas, kind of with their own bay. There's a large mountain range there between two empires. That's mainly been, as far as you know, abandoned by most of the people who used to live there after the cities were destroyed.
Looks like there's a jungle between the
There is.
before we reach the peaks.
There on your map, it's not. It's kind of marked just as a deeper green section, but there is. Yes.
I'm looking at the map that we caught a glimpse of.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. The map that you caught a glimpse of.
I caught a glimpse of it and remembered very specific details from the map.
No, I did. I have part the one.
It's true.
I'm
It's true.
Outlander.
The Outlander thing. But yes, there's a jungle to go through, and then mountains and mountains and mountains before.
We
Or
could
if
bring our
you
water pipes to Rasta Lake.
It sounds like a very just laid back kind of place. Like you might be able to get a good curry and Yeah.
Does it seem like it'd be better for us to go?
Well, it's
This-
more direct to go through the jungle. Actually, I mean, the most direct way, as the crow flies, is just across the mountains. But it's easier to go on the road down a little bit south and east, and then it looks like mostly directly through the jungle and into the mountains beyond.
So do we want to get to Nicodranus and then figure it out from there?
Because
I
alternatively,
think so.
with roads that are marked, you could make your way north,
Right.
and then hit a river and down into what, old Draconia.
Yeah.
So, it depends on the level of risk and how much time you're looking to spend. And
I'd like to visit Nicodranus. Big city.
all right.
How far is that from where we're at?
It's probably a couple days travel, at least 2 or 3 on the caravans of traders going back and forth. The merchants don't move very fast, but they're regular. There's quite a few people who move back and forth, bringing wine down from north of Port Zune and steel from Port Zune down to Nicodranus to then go into the Empire and other places as well. But it's a fairly major port city. Quite a bit bigger than Port Zune,
Yeah.
from what you've heard.
Cool. So there's going to be. So Nicodranus is bigger, or it's
Yes.
at least as big as Port Zune.
From what you've gathered, it's bigger and busier because it's kind of a crossroads between the Empire and the Menagerie Coast, which is kind of a loose confederation of cities or city-states. And there's large mountain ranges in between most of the coast and the Empire. But there's a pass that goes through just north of Nicodranus.
Yeah, I didn't want to get to Nicodranus and it be like a little tiny little town, and it's like, oh, now we have to figure out how to get to these other places, and we have less resources to pull from.
Let's
So
go.
You're in civilization. Like
Yeah.
this is a very civilized area, and the road down sounds like it's fairly civilized, and you're not in the wilderness here. Yeah, you may go into the wilderness after that, but that's up to you.
Let's go.
Also, you are aware that the map you have was made by somebody in Amman from various other maps and writings that they had found, and it's mostly been accurate from what you've found, but you're not sure this far out away from Taldore if it's still as accurate.
Should we talk to a cartographer?
Why do we need pictures of cars?
What are
Oh
cars?
boy.
It's a cartographer, so
Droner.
pictures of carts.
Yeah.
We don't need
Somebody who just
pictures
paints
of
pictures of
carts.
cards. Okay, next. Yep, there's a square, there's a wheel. Okay.
We had a friend that would
Uh-uh.
take pictures for.
Okay.
Yes, our
Interesting.
friend was a cartographer.
Now I'm interested.
She
And
took
her dad
pictures for
owns
like
a
a
dealership.
car dealership to post on their website,
That's
and she was
fun.
into photography, so she took all the pictures for their website. So we used to jokingly call her a
cartographer.
cartographer.
I want that.
Checks out.
Yeah.
Checks out. All right. So, what are we doing in town?
I turned my ring of communication and say, Roland, come in, Roland.
You hear back. Yeah.
Whoa.
What is it?
How are you? How does this day find you? Are you doing all right?
I don't know. I mean, how are any of us really? Like, why are we even here?
I turn my ring and say, you guys, Roland's having a little bit of a existential crisis,
We
it sounds
should've
like.
got
Or at
her-
least a minor bout of depression.
We should have got him some medicine.
You were at
you
the
know what?
place.
I
You
think-
have the medicine.
No,
Yeah.
I've got my food.
That's different.
I think some of that sativa would have been nice.
Okay, I'm
Of
gonna
brilliance.
I'm gonna
Yes,
sprint
nothing
back.
nothing
I wanna-
helps an existential crisis more than sativa.
Oh my god!
Oh, anyway,
Oh,
it's gonna be. I can't wait till Margaret gets back.
So,
I mean, if you want to, you can run. You know where it is. You can
I'm
run
gonna
back.
run. Go fast.
Easy enough.
Go,
um,
go fast. Oh no.
You can.
I
To
did
do
not.
what?
Nothing. I'm gonna run back and get medicine.
You,
yeah,
you
but
can.
ask the herbalist about
Are you
like.
buying it by the ounce or by the joint, or what do you? What do we?
Well, I guess if we go back to the herbalist and ask about for their advice on what
No,
we should
I'm
get
running.
for
Just
someone
Crom is
to.
running.
Okay.
Just Crom is
Yeah,
running.
just Crom.
Crom's
Crom's
gonna come back
fast.
with the Beetlejuice.
How many kinds do you have?
We have about 60 different varieties in here. It just depends. I mean, it really depends on your own body chemistry.
How the crystals
person is-
respond.
I mean, are you
It
looking
is a
for something
rogue.
more along the THC level or the CBD kind
Our
of
friend is sad.
range of the spectrum?
Fred is sad. They're very depressed.
They're very depressing.
Mushroom.
Let me see. What do I have here?
5 mushrooms.
Ecstasy.
She goes back in, kind of looking through and talking to herself like, oh yes, maybe this, but this is it. This. Yes. If somebody's looking just for a nice mellow high, I would suggest the Cocoa Lemon Supernova.
Jesus Christ.
Hello.
I mean, I know just hearing it, but it's a blend, 25 indica to 75, and it'll do the trick.
It'll get you right.
Enough for.
Well, how much do you want? I mean, we have probably at least a pound of it here, but I'm imagining you don't want that much. That's going to cost you several platinum.
Crom's like, convert to metric.
Half of that.
All right, 8 ounces.
Yep.
Well,
I'm here
just
by myself, you guys.
let me find a bag. And
I've got
would you like some stickers as well? While we're sorry, I'm trying to give the real dispensary experience.
I see.
I used to live in Colorado.
I was gonna say I don't have that experience.
It's really, I've never smoked, but, well, no, that's not true. I've smoked once. I'm allergic.
You're allergic.
Yeah, like, my throat closed up and I couldn't breathe, and they had to take me to the emergency room.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I've never tried again. But I've been to a dispensary. In any case, let's say it's going to be 2 platinum.
Done.
Oh, okay. All right then.
I've been
yes,
saving my
at least. I mean, there's quite a bit of cash floating around. And she hands you this nice
for a
rolled
health
package
potion.
inside a fairly nice, like, linen bag.
Yeah, you get a
which has-
complimentary tote.
which has a like a stenciled, like it looks like just some plants growing out of. And that looks like a little bit like their sign. It says the Salvage Garden. And yes, thank you. Please come again.
Okay, bye. And I go.
And we're all just kind of sitting around like, so I wonder what Crom's gonna bring back.
Yeah, so what do we do about Roland? How do they...
And as
Okay.
Crom comes back, she's got a package of pot about this big.
Before Crom comes
'Cause-
around the corner, I'm like, you guys smell something like real funky.
And it is
real
some
dank smell
dank weed.
coming around.
Wait, do you smell that shopkeep?
Like it's a little bit. The stuff that comes around like
Still my
it's,
nose.
it's a little bit piney, but at the same time it's got that real kind of more earthy kind of
Some might
like
describe it as
herbal
dank.
kind of It's like it's some good stuff.
Got it under control.
So Crom, did you get something to help
Yep.
rolling out? Great.
Did you get in touch with him?
Like
Maybe
no
not.
seasoned stems in this stuff either. Like,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. In any case, and we're now going to say that Exandria has weed. So just because.
They've got 60 different varieties.
This is the Menagerie Coast, man.
Yeah, I know,
This
right?
is-
Yeah, a whole new world.
This is the left coast. This ain't no Jorhas over here. Anyway, what are the rest of us doing right now?
Oh.
I guess we got.
Did
Well,
it.
so do we know where Roland is?
Yes, I'll
Roland.
turn the ring. Roland, where are you?
Oh, I guess I'm at a bar.
Any name to this bar?
Give me a second. Let me ask.
In the back.
Here, I need to find my list. No. Where is my list? Here it is. I'm at the Loyal Bowl.
The Loyal Bowl.
It's somewhere. It's second tier.
Okay.
Okay.
Guess that's fine. This
Have you seen Shay?
Not at all. Should I?
we were hoping.
I don't know, just thought I'd throw that out there.
Well then, I'll meet you down here.
Yep, we're on our way.
All right. Quintus, you do know that Shay probably went to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's why I'm gonna send to her because that's a kettle of fish.
You want to send her now, or
We'll
does she
see.
have one of the communication rings?
She does not.
Okay. I was gonna say because we have some
We gave one to
extras,
you.
Yeah, you gave one to me.
and there
I'm
were
gonna
some
send it to you.
actually because the letter came and Roland had a couple extras, and I don't know if y'all ever got them.
I don't know. Let's see if she put it in her inventory, but I don't think so.
In any case, you can send to her. So
Yes. I guess I'll do that. It's like, Shay, you kind of disappeared on us. We are attempting to find travel, and we are meeting at the Loyal Bowl. Is everything all right?
all right. You wait for a moment, and then because you've done this with Shay before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You hear back.
I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah. Well. It's kind of a complication. I'll explain when I get there. But give me an hour or two. And that's what you hear back.
I guess as we're walking there, Shay will meet us there in an hour or two.
Perfect.
Yes. She said there was a complication. I don't know what this means.
Yeah, because we don't know what she was doing.
But I know her father is here, and apparently that is not a great relationship. But
Her family's not politically active, are they?
I don't think I have asked.
Just know-
But let's just be on our toes.
All right. All right. I need to mark down that the Loyal Bowl is in Port Sim. Okay. All right. Heading down to the second tier, back down into the terraces of the front part of the city. You find the Loyal Bowl easy enough. It seems like it's the kind of place that's it's the townies go here. It's good old boys and people who like still show up at the parties after high school dances and stuff like that. It's not a bad place, but it's mostly it's there for the drinking. And you quickly find Roland at the bar, still kind of staring into his drink.
I felt like we
Sigh.
saw him yesterday.
You did. You
Yeah.
feel like he might not have moved.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy.
It might be the same drink.
Hey, buddy. How are you feeling?
Just like, I don't know, just my family and my dad. Last time I saw him, he said some things to me, and I've just been thinking about it, and I'm having a moment here.
I will fix it.
You fix it?
Yeah.
How? I mean, I'm not sure how you'll do that.
You smoke this right now.
All right, you're gonna roll in the joint.
Yep.
Here.
I'm just gonna
Just
say that in
something
your
else, just like-
inventory.
Performance.
Suck on this.
Here?
Somebody at the bar had some rolling papers,
Yeah.
and you make a performance check real
Come with the
quick.
package.
It
I think Chomsky's probably got to tinker together a little pipe. This will
Nine.
MacGyver together.
9.
Powered.
You roll a joint. It's a little janky. Like there's definitely some like bits that are like falling out
Lumpy.
still as you hand it to him, and it's not quite. It's staying together, but it's not quite all the way like.
I used to like it.
Like you're used to rolling Sood, and this is it's a different consistency, so but it's smokable. Oh,
That's what everyone hears after the first.
that's what everyone is hears after the first, and so yeah, Roland just looks at it for a moment as you light it and says, and just shrugs, and I'm gonna make this decision for Margaret.
Yeah.
Takes a long hit of it. And that's where we're going to leave this week.
Hello.
I want to make a new
What was it? Lemon supernova.
lemon cocoa
Oh,
supernova.
coffee.
That
Was
is
it coffee?
Cocoa Lemon
Cocoa
Supernova.
Those lemon supernova.
Yeah,
8 ounces.
a new
Like you
cantrip.
know, yes.
A new
How many did
cantrip.
you buy?
Instead of Everett's black tentacles, right?
Yeah.
It's a cantrip. It's like
That's right.
it's just tickling tentacles.
You got
So I can just cast it and cheer people up because they're gonna be.
That reminds me, any of you who are magic
I don't
users,
spend my money on
feel free if you want to try to develop
Spell.
new spells.
Okay, cool.
And we can workshop it, and if you want to make your own spells, we just got to balance it, and that's, yeah,
All right.
like
sweet.
something that you'd like to have that isn't in there.
Well, I'll probably do that cantrip.
Yeah.
Shouldn't affect combat too much, you know.
And I hadn't expected I hadn't meant for y'all to go to a pot dispensary, but apparently there is a weed name generator online, so that's nice.
Nice.
Of course there is.
Because,
You
reasons.
hadn't expected that. What the hell's wrong with you?
This is what the internet's for, man.
This is literally what it was made for. Finally, its
For
true
off the cut
purpose.
D&D.